Hi, this is Griffin Schmidt, and I'm here with one of my friends and roommate, Ryan. So, Ryan, a big problem in the US today, as I'm sure you're aware, is police interactions with African Americans. This is a very apparent issue in the media, and I'm wondering, do you have any insight or opinions on this issue?
Yes, I do have some insight and opinions on this issue. I feel like it's definitely a big problem that does need to be dealt with. However, I do feel like that the media does misportray some aspects of the situation, but that is in no way am I trying to say that it's not an issue because of that.
Okay. And what's your opinion on the legalization of marijuana?
I think honestly, it's a little ridiculous that the government is still has this really negative connotation towards marijuana, even though it's been test done. We know it's harmless. We know it's not going to cause deaths or cause health, major health problems. So I think it's just a little insane that maybe the government doesn't actually provide their own tests to do research on, and I think it's just it should be legalized at this point.
All right. And well, linking these two issues together, did you know that about 13 to 14% of all of Americans admit to smoking marijuana? And although both Caucasians and African Americans smoke at similar rates, according to MSNBC, the African American community is convicted for possession charges 4 times as much as whites are. There's a very large inequality in the arrest rates across the nation, both stemming from drug charges as well as in relation to just arrests based on race. So the Federal Bureau of Prison Statistics show that drug arrests are the most common charge in the United States each year, and that most of these arrests are nonviolent charges. So there were no issues put up during the arrest process, no weapons found, nothing like that. But in total, it's about 70,000 arrests each year are related to drugs. And so, do you think, after being presented with this information, do you think there's an issue here in the um, demographics of those being arrested?
Yeah, people of all races should be held accountable for their actions, or they should not be charged at all because in this day and age it is ridiculous that people are being arrested for something as simple as possession of marijuana.
Okay. How would you feel if I told you that, according to the Young Turks, there was one arrest interaction where 63 people were arrested at a party, which was mainly attended by African Americans, because when the police entered the home without a warrant and not stating if they had probable cause to search the house, they found less than an ounce of weed, and nobody claimed it, so they arrested everybody at the party for it. Does this seem like a logical response to you?
No, I think that's totally ridiculous. How can somebody say it's a good idea to arrest 63 people just because nobody would claim their little bit of weed? This seems like a solution for a first grade classroom where just because someone did something wrong, hard air quotes here, everybody gets in trouble for it.
You've had an interaction with police involving the subject, correct?
Yeah, last semester I got pulled over with a small amount of marijuana in my car, about 2 grams. And the officer asked if I had anything on me, and I told him I did. The officer simply confiscated the marijuana and let me off with a speeding ticket rather than bringing me in for possession, which was kind of nice.
Okay, so with this, I also know someone who had a similar interaction with law enforcement, kind of the similar circumstances. They were pulled over for speeding, and they had a little bit of weed in the car, and the officer searched the car, and they found the weed, and they brought him in on possession. He said he only had about a gram and some change in the car, but the officer took him in anyway. Now, both of these charges happened around the same area, both in our town, and the only difference being my other friend who got the charge is of Indian descent and has a very dark skin tone. Luckily, the charges were dropped later on for an appeal, but he was arrested nonetheless for the charge. And for doing arguably less than you, because he had less in the car than him, he was arrested and you were not. And the only main difference between these two cases were that he is of a different race than you. Do you think this is fair?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, if he did have less than me, he should probably get a lesser punishment than I did. It worries me that this was the response and race was mainly the only difference here.
Do you think that maybe legalizing marijuana and using part of the revenue to train police officers not to incorporate bias into their work would be a good solution for these kind of issues?
Absolutely. I feel like if the drug was legalized and there was nobody being arrested for marijuana possession, it would rule out a big part of the problem. And if cops were no longer using bias in their work, it would also help. So yeah, I think it would be that would be a good solution.
Okay. Well, thank you for speaking with me today, Ryan. I hope I taught you something, and I hope you could use this knowledge that you've now gained in other interactions that you bring to people's attention about ongoing social issues.
Absolutely, thank you.